Well, here he is. He was convicted to serve 15 years in prison. Imagine what that must have felt like to a man who had already done 19 years for popping off in China, something you don't do. Here is Harry Wu as he arrived in San Francisco in August of this year after finding himself at the center of an international controversy. Remember, it was, that's his wife waiting for him. Remember, it was Harry Wu who was at the center of the issue as to, there you are, baseball cap and all. I hope that's a San Francisco Giant cap.
Chicago Bulls.
Chicago Bulls, oh. Well, that'll get you a hand from some of the folks here in the audience. Well, you are here with your wife, whom you married in 1991, and when she met you, she didn't know what a record. Talk about a police record. Whoa. You are some kind of criminal in China, my good man.
Yes, that's why we invite me over here. He's a convicted criminal.
Because you're a convicted criminal. That's right. Otherwise, who'd want you on a daytime talk show? That's what we're looking for. Well, listen, what is not so funny is, let's talk about you, Mr. Wu. You are at the center of the issues regarding the United States, the whole world, and this planet's most populous nation. I speak of the awesome, the grand, the magnificent, the unimaginably creative and powerful nation of China. More than 1 billion people. You did 19 years in the Gulag?
Well, it happened when I was a captain of the baseball team in my college. I'm 20 years old. I just spoke out, criticized the Soviet invasion in Hungary in 1956. That's only something I am voicing, and the reason is I come from so-called bourgeois class.
Bourgeois class.
Yeah, my father is a banker.
Let's talk about that for a second. Okay, your father's a banker. You were taught English as a child, were you not?
Yes.
You went to a Jesuit prep school.
So I baptized as a Catholic when I was 12 years old.
So, and you had servants? Yeah. 8 children?
Yeah, I'm the third of the 8.
Third of 8 children. Your father, a very bright economist, then becomes head of a bank, or works at a bank? Not the head, but...
Just a very small bank.
At a financial institution. And then 1949?
Yeah, these people is the target of the communist revolution.
Sure. Comes Mao, and here you are, English-speaking, Catholic, educated.
This is my background.
Baptized. You got problems already here.
Yes, that's why I just one sentence I pulled it out and labeled as a counter-revolution. Right? So later I delivered it to the labor camps.
So they were suspicious of you anyway. I mean, it'd be hard to imagine. They had to have their eyes on you in any event. As a person, your father was accused of capitalist activities, was he not? Yeah.
So you quite understand what is the communist revolution.
And this is 1949. All right. You read it?
You are the communist or what?
Well, no, I read it in your book.
Oh, thank you.
You went to a Jesuit science school. You studied geology.
Not Jesuit. This is communist college.
Oh, I see. It wasn't a religious after. I see. But it was there that you got in trouble.
Yes. And then I spent, actually at the beginning, sentenced to life, to the prison camp. I spent from 1960 to 79, 19 years.
Yeah. You say you didn't think of yourself as human. You thought of yourself as a beast.
That's the way to survive. That's the way.
That's the way to survive.
If you think you as a human, and then you are thinking about your dignity, your freedom, your future, your love, your sex, your family, your kids, and those things never can come to you. And you're suffering. So that's why my former inmates commit suicide. I tried once. You know, if you treat yourself as a beast, that's easy, quite easy.
But if you think of yourself as human, you think of all the potential, what could be, the happiness, the art, the creativity of life, the family, the love, other people, you'll kill yourself. You say you lost friends at their own hand, is that?
All my family in 19 years, I never have the chance to talk to them because they have to publicly denounce me, make a public separation with me. If they don't do it, they will get in trouble from the government.
And you got out. Why? Did some guy come and knock on the cell and said, Harry, you're out of here? I mean, how did this happen?
Well, it's...
Incidentally, your nickname is Harry. That was given to you, was it not, by a Jesuit?
Jesuit.
Was it Father Capolito?
Yeah, Capolito, Italian Catholic.
Italian Catholic Jesuit.
Yeah.
It was Father Capolito who turned you on to butterflies and nature and Darwin and all that. Yes. Is that so?
I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he disappeared, didn't he? They took him away, did they?
Yes. You know, these...
Is this
no, this is a Chinese priest.
Oh.
All these, you know, foreign priests were expert in 1952, 1954. And all the Chinese priests go to the jail, go to the prison camp. This is one of the survivors. He spent 31 years in the prison camp. He's very lucky. He survived to now he's living in California. The Catholic Church totally destroyed in 1950s.
If you were Catholic, you were a goner then in the eyes of the state.
Yeah. It's a kind of, they call the Vatican is a kind of tool of the imperialists.
Tool of the imperialists. Yeah, I just can't help but make this point. Because you were Catholic, you were suspected of being rightist, revolutionary, and capitalist.
Counter-revolutionary.
Counter-revolutionary, against the, yes.
Against the counter.
Right. But in Central America in the 80s, the Marinolers were Catholics and called leftist socialists by the rightist people who were in power. Religion becomes the vehicle to destroy people.
But in China, all these religions include the Muslim, include the Christian, all of the religions destroyed. Only one religion, whatever we want to say, Mao's.
Mao's religion. You were released from prison when?
79.
1979.
Yeah.
Open...
Well, they have to, you know, adjust their policy. We are very old, you know, old enemy. They face a new situation, have a new enemy, just like Beijing Sun.
Yes.
Become another generation. They have to handle the new problem. Deng Xiaoping come to power, replace the Mao, but he continued the old policy.
You come to the States, you see Berkeley. You become an American citizen.
No.
Not right away, but
yeah,
afterward,
yeah,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're saying to yourself, all those people I left behind, I don't know. I'm thinking, you must be thinking about these people every day.
First of all, these suffering experience, just like a nightmare, never let me go. And the other thing is, I cannot turn my back to these people. I can't. Even I naturalized as American, my homeland is China. I don't have a choice, my homeland. Okay? And that piece of land is full of my blood and tears. I never say, I cannot say, well, forget about the past.
How many people in prison in China, round numbers? May I call you Harry?
Yeah, please. Today?
Yeah.
Under so-called Lao Gai, 8 million.
How many?
8 million.
8
million.
8 million people in jail.
Yeah. Well,
and
let me explain to you what is the Lao Gai. The people ask me, say, what are you doing that? What are you fighting for? I'm fighting for one thing. I hope the Laogai sooner or later become English words in the English dictionary, just like the Gulag, G-U-L-A-G.
Solzhenitsyn gave us Gulag. You would like to give us Longhai.
Lao Gai.
Lao Gai.
I mean, labor and reform.
Okay.
All these people in Chinese prison, forced to labor, make the product, export to the United States, all of the world. And also these people under brainwashing.
And would you have a guess as to of the 8 million, we have some thugs in China who belong in jail. You concede that.
Yeah.
But we have a significant percentage of the 8 million people in jail in China who are political prisoners.
We don't know the exact rate of it.
But
we don't know.
I assume there are a large number.
It's a large number.
Said something, went to a meeting, criticized the state, worst thing you can do. And now you go back with 60 Minutes?
Yeah, in 1991.
And a camera in a concealed.
With my wife. Yep. We just simply, you know, on the back, draw a hole and put the camera in there. My wife put a hand, cover the lens, if nobody watching him, move the hand and the lens is filming, and these footage.
So she's the camera person then. You had the camera?
Yes,
Yes.
both of us.
Yes. You're Taiwanese.
My family actually came from mainland China in '49.
I see. But is it true that
But
you
I
were...
grew up in
You
Taiwan.
grew up in Taiwan. And you married Harry in 1991.
In February.
Yeah. What'd you, a nice man. And
Well, you have to know, at the beginning, he is very hesitant.
She didn't know about you in your past. I'd be hesitant too. I mean...
Well, at the beginning, I just very straight to him say, because we was introduced by someone, I say to her that I spent 19 years in Chinese Laogai. He said, what is Laogai? I said, well, I tried to explain it, but she never can get a sense. And finally I said, well, one thing, I was in the jail for 19 years.
Then I got it.
Just kaboom. I was in jail for 19 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Why should you marry with me?
But what a brave woman. She's risking, she's going back with you. You're really a high-risk husband, Harry.
Yes.
Here, I just want to show him the film. Here's some of the film you took covertly. Show him, Brian. This is where?
This is the primary farm. The prisoners is forcing to making the tea, growing the tea. You know, China is the largest tea producer in the world, but Chinese government information say 1/3 of the tea is come from the prison camp.
Here is the tea.
And many tea, this is we bought in New York, and the other tea is, it's a very famous in the world. We can buy it everywhere in the country.
Well, that's a semi-modern harvesting equipment. That's a tea farm. You bought this, you got this in New York?
This one in New York,
Right.
and this one in California.
Right. Now you're here to say that you would like China and the United States and all the free peoples to get along, to trade, but as long as prison labor is being used, you believe that doing business with a regime like this is morally indefensible. Do I understand your position, Harry?
I think today in the United States, they have a federal law to ban all convicts products, forced labor products,
That's
importation.
true. Yes.
And this is not only illegal, but also immoral. For example, the flower.
The flower, yes.
You see, these flowers was imported by Universal Sunray. Okay. Also
By
in
whom?
the Universal Sunray.
Uh-huh.
In the bank.
Imported, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Universal Sunray is
Yeah.
correct. U.S. flowers.
and actually made in Chinese prison.
So this was made for nothing by someone who may be in prison for speech,
Yeah.
for an idea that was not
Yes.
accepted by the
Yeah.
state. Well, we called the Chinese embassy, Harry.
They denied it. They denied that there's no political prisoners in China, and there's no forced product at all
Yeah.
for the export.
They gave us a statement about you.
Oh, yes.
Here's the profile on you, Harry.
Yeah, I'm a criminal.
Don't show this to your family, I'll tell you that. Show them, Brian. The Chinese embassy said to us, that is to say to U.S. China, you called us about your interview with Harry Wu. Harry Wu is a criminal and was sentenced to criminal terms. I don't think it would be beneficial to defame your show by interviewing Harry Wu. He is a criminal and our embassy will not send someone. Lu Wangxiang, press office of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China.
I'm very disappointed they will not come over here.
Yeah. You're not surprised, though.
Oh, well, I hope they really can come
Right.
over here.
Yes. Well, there's just a little irony. Imagine, you should defame our show. We may have done enough of that of ourselves over the years to worry about it. You flatter us with your presence, Harry Wu. You are a man of conscience, and so is your wife. And we'll continue your story. You know, only billions and billions of dollars. If you're an American company, can you imagine calling on China? You want to build dams there? You want to sell farm machinery in China? Can you imagine the business in China? Wow! But what kind of conscience should we have now? We do business with 8 million people in prison, many of them are political prisoners. What is our responsibility? We'll be back in just a moment. Harry Wu and Chun-Yi Lee Wu, his wife, are here. Just give us a little briefing on these pictures, Harry.
This is the Chinho farm. In 1991, Ed Bradley, we go together to filming.
You and Ed Bradley went there for 60 minutes?
With 60 minutes. I spent 4.5 years in this camp.
Yeah. How come they didn't recognize you?
Well, it's a long time ago.
That's true. You were out in 79, so, right. All right, let's show them something else. What do we got?
This is another one. This prisoner in the construction site. In the break, they're eating, they call this is their lunch. This one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this one.
Oh, it's upside down, sorry. Well,
this is the watchtower. Well, I don't want to mention this one because this is the evidence of my crime. Chinese charge me. Say, this is state secrets. My charge is stealing state secrets, passing to two major TV companies in the BBC and CBS.
But in other words, this photograph is a state secret then, that's what they're saying. So you're revealing, I get it. And here we are marching in...
Yeah, this is a group of prisoners of forced labor to making the toys, hand toys, and export to the United States and also to other countries.
Let's just talk about that for a second. We've got...
oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, many toys today is making the prison.
Right.
I was in one of the farm in Zhejiang, Anhui province.
Right.
They told me the prisoner right now is working in the workshop making the toys, Christmas lights, and for export, make money.
Mm-hmm. And all you want is, would you like the United States to suspend commercial activity with China altogether?
Well, you just mentioned that China is a potential market, and everybody is looking for cheap products, cheap...
well, it already is a market. Let's understand that. We're doing business, yes.
No. We have to know about it. The benefit from the trade, of course, benefit to common people, but most of the benefit is actually go to the government.
The ruling class, yes.
For example, you just mentioned it's a big business. Last year, I went to China in the border, at that remote area border. They don't have a computer. This time, they write or check out me by the computer, write a card over there. I was escorted by a large number, 40, 50 policemen, secret policemen. All of them have a mobile phone.
Mobile phone, yes. And you know they weren't manufactured?
Made by Motorola. They're using Motorola phone, caught me, stopped me, okay? Mm-hmm. You have to know the benefit is also supporting these ruling.
Yeah, I can't prove this, Harry, but we should make this point. I want to say I can't prove this, but Motorola is a proud American company.
Of course, they may be not responsible for this, but
well,
anyway...
Not only that, I'll bet you those handheld telecommunications units weren't manufactured in the United States.
No, the problem is everybody's talking about this economic giant will appear in next century.
Yes.
Economic giant definitely means another political giant, and this is a communist giant. What do you want to do?
The answer by the Chamber of Commerce is the more we do business with them, the more they see the virtue of capitalism, the more they will change from their authoritarian rule. That is their speech, Mr. Wu, sir.
Capitalism doesn't mean democracy. Iran is a capitalist country. There's no democracy at all. What are you talking about?
Your question is on the record, and we'll be back in just a moment. Yes.
Mr. Wu, I'm very curious of how, if you're a known criminal, how you got a visa and a passport to enter China the second time.
I have the second time is in 1994. I was naturalized as American citizen in January 1984. So I legally have an American passport, and I applied the visa, Chinese issued the visa. Mm-hmm. And this summer, also using the same passport, And same record is over there. I don't know why the Chinese issued a valid visa again. So that's why in this time they caught me. I say, you are trapping me. You issued a visa, actually you are welcoming, and you arrest me.
Yeah. You don't have any doubt that it is the outcry here in the States that freed your husband. It was the great attention, the public attention that was brought to his imprisonment that resulted in his being set free. Isn't that so?
Yes, I believe so. So we really appreciate all the American people.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
Great job.
But it makes you realize the countless numbers of people who don't get this.
No, let me tell you. I'll be honest with you. In January, I naturalized American citizen. I didn't feel very honored like American citizen. I just feel it's a kind of convenience, a kind of protection for me. But through this summer's incident, I feel very honored I become American. Not only American people, American government, American Congress care about me. Many, many people put the yellow ribbons on their mailbox and the door. Mm-hmm. The American people are wonderful. They really care about me.
We are joined by Catherine Ho. Mrs. Ho, you spent 21 years in a Chinese labor camp. And you know why? Look at this. How about this for a revolutionary personality here? I'll bet you never even held a gun, did you?
No.
No. Well, what in the world would move these authorities to imprison you for 21 years?
I was born in a well-educated family in Shanghai, a big city. My good parents sent me to a Catholic school. There I became a Catholic when I was 13 years old. In 1950, 1 year after communists came to power. And I joined a Catholic missionary organization, Legion Mary. And after several years, it's 1955, I was arrested by Communist Party with our Shanghai bishop and 100 Christian priest bishops. This Shanghai bishop, Cardinal Kong, now is Cardinal, he now is receiving Medicare in Stanford in Connecticut.
In Connecticut?
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And
how long did he spend? How many years?
I think he spent 32 or something.
32 years in Chinese.
32.
And
he was the Bishop of Shanghai?
Yeah,
yes.
Bishop Shanghai.
And we did not oppose government. We only wanted to practice our religion, which the communists say that it's a crime against China. The only reason I was put in jail, I was a Legion Mary, I refused to denounce or renounce Holy Father, our Pope, our church, our bishop, and the priests. And I refused to disagree the Patriotic Association, which is sponsored by communists to control religion. And the real Catholic or Christian, they won't accept that. So that they sentenced me 7 years in the jail as a counter-revolutionary. But when they found out that I still not changed my mind, they wouldn't let me go. They kept me 21 years in the labor camp.
Mm-hmm. What was it like in prison, Catherine?
This is very different from any other country. We were tortured both mental and physical. First, we cannot practice our religion. We have no Bible to read, no sacraments, and we can't touch with any sister brother in our church. And once I just kneel down to say prayer, and the communists scold me and curse me, say they will punish me because this is counter-revolutionary activity. And the hardest suffering is brainwashing. That means you have to accept their propaganda. They strip off all your individual willing, your belief, your faith, your sense of wrong or right. And every day we should recite that there are personal regulation. That regulation just destroy our human love and human rights.
And you retain your faith. Your faith is as strong as it ever has been. And I assume when you go to church here in the States, I don't know, I mean, do you think of, looking around, see if the authorities are watching you? I can't imagine what this must be like for you now.
Well, I really enjoy here in America. The most, I think, is the religion freedom.
That's what you enjoy the most?
Yeah, and I can see this time when Holy Father come visit America, how many people, they show their faith.
Yeah.
That's somehow I really, this is my experiences. The faith is so precious that nothing in the world can be compared.
The faces of the faithful looking on as the Holy Father came here to New York City, that gave you much joy to see that.
I went to see Holy Father 2 years ago when I wrote a book about my experiences. And 2 years ago, my book translated into Italian. I went to see Holy Father. And I say to him, Holy Father, when I was in the prison, I just dreamed that one day I come to see you and tell you how much we suffer for our church and for our faith. And now my dream coming to true. And the Holy Father replied me, he said, I pray for the church in China every day. I was sort of like in the heaven.
Yeah. And we'll be back in just a moment. Orville Schell joins us. Mr. Schell, sir, you are Senior Fellow at the Freedom Forum at Columbia University. You're a writer and a China scholar. This is an unusual political prisoner here. This is quite a story. So many things happen. He gets, first of all, he's English skilled as a child. He comes from a family of 8 kids, but they've got servants. He certainly knows he's in at least the upper middle class. And then the rest is history, with almost 2 decades behind bars in the gulag of China. And then an American passport allows him to return. They arrest him again. Is Hillary Clinton going to be able to go to the women's conference? Well, she's not going if they don't release Harry. The world pressure is on Beijing, and they reluctantly, and they're obviously still enraged, let him go. Tell us from your own scholarship perspective here why Harry's important, and give us a little background on what we know about what's happening in China now.
Well, I think what makes Harry so unusual is that it's certainly not that he was arrested, because after all, millions of Chinese have had a similar fate to him and to Catherine Ho. But I think what makes him so unusual is that he refused to be silent. And even having done what I think most people would consider would be more than his duty to remind the world that even though China has reformed in extraordinary ways, there is still a huge piece of it which remains locked back in the Maoist, Stalinist era of the past. Right. Its judiciary, its prisons, its security system. So Harry won't be quiet. And he, in a certain sense, I think Westerners can identify with what he does, because it's very similar to what many Jews have done about the Holocaust. They refuse to shut up. They believe that the act of remembering is crucial.
To never again.
To never again.
Yeah. May we have your thoughts about the conflict between the capitalists, I say that without any prejudice, who want to do business with China and suggest to us that if we get morally superior, if we appear to be looking down, I remember Gorbachev saying to the people at the White House, don't preach to us You can't preach to us. And the fact is, we've got our own things to be quite, at least distracted about in this country. And who do we think we are, morally prancing about the mountaintop, appearing to pass judgment on China, who might want to know how you would civilly manage 1 billion people? When you come in here, you Western pie-in-the-sky folks think you know everything. Should we continue to trade with China, or should we just end it altogether until they shape up?
Well, it's a good question, and I mean, I think Americans have to be sensitive to the fact that, you know, China in chaos would not be a pretty picture. But having said that, I think to keep the lid on things in China, to arrest people for freedom of expression, not to allow any outlets of political pluralism, political free expression, it may very well be the precipitating fact that blows the place up again. And I think that it is in the interest of China, as well as the United States and the world, to have a more free and open society that can regulate itself.
Would they pull another Tiananmen Square with the television cameras on? Would they do that?
I think they're trying very hard not to have another Tiananmen Square, which is why if you go into Tiananmen Square with any suggestion of dissent in your mind, you're liable to be picked up. But, I mean, these things have a way of escaping even the most authoritarian and even the most sort of totalitarian governments.
Is it your view that Harry, this bold fellow, and this guerrilla woman who became a guerrilla after she married him, going into the jaw of the lion here with their secret cameras, has this caused China to perhaps arrest fewer political prisoners?
Well, I think China definitely responds to pressure. There's no doubt about it. On the other hand, I mean, one doesn't want to humiliate any government too much, and one has to be mindful of that. But I think a subtle combination of pressure on the one hand, exactly the kind that these three people put on them, and on the other hand, you know, recognizing it is a different culture, it is a different civilization, are probably the best strategy for bringing China into the 21st century.
Can you wear a crucifix in China now? Can you wear a crucifix in China?
Yes, yes.
You can? So that religious expression is no longer penalized as it was with Mrs. Ho.
That doesn't mean anything. This is cross is a cross. It means something like a jewelry, something like that today in China.
Well, how does religion express itself now in your nation? The nation of your birth?
Yes. Today we found about 4 to 6 million underground so-called Catholic Church activities. And more than about 8 million people is running in the Christian underground church. Chinese government really worry about these things.
When we come back, you're first. In just a moment. Thank you, sir. One in every 5 people on Earth is Chinese. I mean, this is the nation that will determine, I believe this, the lives our children and our grandchildren lead in the 21st century. China, I believe, is the whole situation. How it relates to the rest of the world, how the rest of the world relates. And Harry Wu will be there as historians come to write the final years of the 20th century in China. This is what, Harry?
It's a dead prisoner's uniform. He was died. He committed suicide. This cloth was brought out from China by his son. His son was, when 13 years old, he had to go to the camp with his father because he is the elder son of the family. And later, his father committed suicide, and that's the only thing he got it from.
These are his clothes.
Yeah, his father's clothes.
This is the patched together. This is substantial. This is a winter's
coat.
Mm-hmm. And what have we here, Harry?
Oh, this is the lambskin processing by the prisoners and sell it to the foreign country.
So, you know, this could wind up in a very...
This is never for the prisoners.
No, this is,
okay.
But this could be
in foreign guests.
In the first store on the Champs-Élysées or Fifth Avenue here in New York. And industrial...
This is the hand tools. Yeah.
Made by?
Made by Chinese slave labor.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to ask. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I'd like to say that I've just had the encounter with 3 new heroes. Ano po ba yan?
Thank you. Not much time.
I too am Catholic, and my big concern in China is the number of abortions and the number of children that are having to leave your country and be adopted. I have a friend who's adopting a Chinese baby girl this year. How do you feel about this?
May I ask you to kindly speak to that? Family planning in China? We hear some very, very bad things, as I'm sure you do.
Yes. Very bad, this part. I think on surface, maybe the religion persecution a little bit moderate, but...
Has moderated a bit, yes.
A little bit,
yes.
But no. I just received some news that say that recently in October, one bishop in Jiangxi was arrested. He is, I think, 87 years. And the other bishop in Hebei, he's the eighth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8th time to arrested. He's 57 years. And why the communists, they hate the religion, that because we have the faith, we have the truth. Like abortion, this is kill alive. We don't really agree that. So only church, they are brave to say, no, we can't do that. So that church become dissent to Communist Party. That's why the communists always, hate the religion, and actually they in their heart they have no God.
One indication I can share with you today, in China, every year have 14 million abortion cases.
Because of a family planning edict by the government permitting one child per family?
One child per one family. On the other hand, I'd like to add that when you have almost 1.3 billion people, and every year you have a population increase of some 12 to 15 million, something has to be done.
Yes.
And it's this dilemma in which China finds itself. So while one may be unsympathetic with many aspects of China, one has to at least be sympathetic with the problem of feeding so many people, 7% of the arable land in the world and a quarter of the world's population. It doesn't pencil out.
Yes, but let's also understand the consequences of attempting to tell people how many children they should have. You're quite right. I think it's an arrogant thing to prance around and say, what horrible, horrible. But what's happening is, for example, girls are not valued. So that we can only speculate how many newborn females have had their lives literally taken from them so that next time we might have a boy. Happens.
Well, today in Chinese orphan center, most of them, 95% is killed.
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 Girls.
Baby.
Girls.
Female.
The unwanted gender, yes.
Well, first of all, you are people of conviction, and we honor you for being here today. It's tremendous to hear your story. In China, based on the disgrace of Tiananmen Square and what we all saw on television, is there an underswell of people getting together and fighting back? Are there roots in China to fight back the oppression of this?
Yeah. Let me give you a chance, Harry, to answer that question when we come back in just a moment. Resistance in China, Harry.
Yeah, it is. There's many people awake today, and they learn from their own experience, learn from their suffering. Communism as an idea is totally dead in China today.
Just for your entire panel, do any of you have any family left in China, and if so, is this affecting their lives in any way, your outspokenness about this?
My father was tortured and died in 1980. My brother also killed by communist police in 1981. My mother was committing suicide when she heard I be arrested. So, not many families in China today.
Yes.
I was wondering who picks the baby girls, and when are they killed, and how are they killed, and is it on their birthday?
Well, this is a kind of Chinese tradition. They want to have a boy baby. So that's why they leave the girl baby to, to the hospital, to the orphan center. And it is true, this is not only applied by the Chinese abortion policy, but also it's a kind of a cultural tradition over there.
Let me just show you one more of your covert films here. See it up on the monitor. Show them, Brian. Here they are. This is your secretly taken videotape. Incidentally, we should say you went there twice. Once with 60 Minutes.
This is 1994 with...
And that was with the BBC,
yeah,
was it?
With the BBC. This is the factory making the hand tools export to foreign countries, including the United States.
Has the Catholic Church done anything to help your cause? You seem to be fighting very strong for them. Are they doing anything to help you?
Today, in this current case? Oh, Catholic Church totally destroyed in 1950s. You see Catherine Ho and all this...
Well, she wonders about the church outside China. And what, if any, pressure has there been any... Is there a political Catholic expression manifesting itself anywhere?
No, I didn't feel it.
You don't know, Catherine? No. Yes.
I hope that those of us who are here in America appreciate what you have done, not for China alone, but for us too, so that when we find things in our country we don't like, we don't shut up either.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. What might... Yes, ma'am, you wanted that.
What can we do as Americans to put pressure on China? Do we boycott tea companies, toy companies? What would I do as a consumer in America?
Good question. Harry?
I think the first thing is say no. Say no to Chinese government. There's no law guide, no products at all for these products come to the United States. And government have the responsibility to enforce the federal law.
Yes. Harry, are you at the Hoover Institute?
Yes.
At Palo Alto?
Yes.
At Stanford?
Yes.
A proud conservative organization, can we say?
Well, maybe you can say that, but I just don't do my research individually.
Yes, you have an office in the building and...
No.
Oh.
I just...
Well, my question is, being attached to a conservative institute of this kind would seem possibly to put you at odds with the thinkers there who I think we can say, can we not, are interested in opening up China for commerce. Is this a stretch to say?
Well, I think there's a great paradox. The conservatives once were anti-communist and now are more or less inclined to be rather friendly with China, the last of the great communist giants.
Because of the business results.
That has a great deal to do with it.
Yeah, and we'll be back in just a moment. Bitter Winds. This was published almost 2 years ago. A memoir of my years in China's Gulag, Harry Wu's story. You know, the Soviets couldn't stop the Lord or God or faith. What a ridiculous idea for a state to say, stop thinking about Jesus. How do you enforce this? It doesn't work.
My question is, what kind of education does the general population in China have? Aren't they brought up as communists? Sometimes they don't know anything better, and they're happy, some of them, aren't they?
Just like the frogs in the bottom of the well, educated by the communist government. You know, what is the sky? The circle of the well is the sky. And they believe that is kind of truth.
Harry, we thank you, your wife.
Provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.